Morning. Gonna wait on my live feed here to catch up so I can make sure that I'm actually live. The internet here has been giving me grief this morning, so I apologize. I was a couple minutes late here, but I'm sure I'll see y'all pop in here in just a minute. So good morning, good morning. Bear with me as these ads run. And just going to make sure that I'm actually feeding live here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Looks good. So I'll just wait on some people to start popping in. But of course, this will be Confusion in the Cosmos, section 17. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. I guess that means you are there and you can hear me. So good deal. All right. I'll just wait a couple minutes for some people to start popping in, but and I'll reiterate all this at the end of the stream, but oh boy, we're up against it. My direct deposit I was expecting never hit, and I've got 3.5 hours to come up with another $400 or I'm out in the street in the car with the dog. So hopefully that transfer comes through. Say a prayer for me, you guys. Because I don't know what the hell we're going to do, honestly. And don't worry, I'm going to edit this crap out once I get all the videos, the chapters recorded. I'm planning on going back through and clean it up a bit, right? So this is Confusion in the Cosmos, section 17, Cosmology meets Eschatology. Again, this book is written by Miguel Stephano. So if you want to debate the eschatology of the book, don't come to me. I'm just the narrator. I'm just the guy reading it. I didn't write the book. And while I do agree with a lot of it, I don't agree with every bit of it. So just take this as a disclaimer that the views and opinions expressed within the book are not necessarily my views and opinions. But I agree with the author on enough of the flat earth stuff and some of the eschatology stuff to get on board. Reading it for you guys because I like audiobooks myself, so I get it. Okay, so Confusion in the Cosmos, section 17, Cosmology meets Eschatology. Quoting John 16:13, but when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all the truth. For he will not speak on his own initiative, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will disclose to you what is to come. The definition of eschatology is a part of theology concerned with the final events of history or the ultimate destiny of humanity. This concept is commonly referred to as the end of the world or end time. This author will add to this definition the end of the age. He remembers as a teenager hearing about eschatology and having a great interest in learning more about this end of time theology. The problem that this author has seen throughout the years and still see today is that if you're a churchgoer, you likely haven't heard very much about this topic. Most pastors avoid this area for reasons of which we can only speculate. It is interesting to note that the Bible is roughly 1/3 prophecy. Most of these prophecies have actually been fulfilled, leaving the prophecy of eschatology the only remaining portion of what is yet to come. Shouldn't this area be at the forefront of study today by reviewing the world's current events in order to see how they fall into place with the upcoming end of age timeline? This is understandably a pretty intimidating topic that many admit is overly complex, while also being viewed as formidable and somewhat horrifying. This is why we're going to address this in Confusion in the Cosmos, because this is the very end point of the cosmos as we know it. We're not going to pretend to have all the answers. This author will tell you, though, that in his own viewpoint, this topic is ultra confusing when looking at it through the wrong cosmological lens. This is one reason why he believes this is an often ignored topic that is viewed as rather convoluted through the assumption of being solely comprised of allegorical, metaphorical, and figurative language. If you are one who has struggled with a desire to gain understanding on these events in the past, but didn't get very far, we're going to start making some progress on this subject today. This area in itself can be an entire book on its own, but like the rest of this book, the primary intention was to gain a surface level scriptural understanding of a renewed cosmology, and this part will be no different. Now that we have a better understanding of the deception within our system, this author is hopeful that you have new eyes to see things within the correct biblical model, and that you now have an increased awareness to help initiate the process of a better understanding through a more literal comprehension of eschatology. Before we start looking at these events, I have to tell you in advance a few things. First, we can't review all the scriptures within this chapter, so we're going to provide a condensed overview in order to start seeing these events unfold differently than you may have viewed them previously. The second thing this author wants to point out is absolutely none of these scriptures make any sense under the heliocentric spinning globe model that Satan provided for us. Therefore, you must read these under your newly enhanced, biblically enclosed, three-tiered system worldview. This is what will start the process of relieving our confusion on this subject. Finally, we must understand with eschatology, some of these things being described will not be events seen by us, because there are things that will be taking place in the spiritual realm and in the third heaven. Therefore, we'll focus more on what will be applicable to our earthly viewing perspective. This author was raised under the pre-tribulation rapture viewpoint. If you're not familiar, this rapture is an event where some believe that Yeshua will take his people away from this life by saving them prior to the terrible times of the final days of tribulation. This was a doctrine that this author has believed for his whole life. But after his studies on the topic, like most everything else in recent years, he was forced to reverse his viewpoint. There is no basis for this pre-tribulation event under any explanation that he's found in the Bible. Since he's personally held this view for so long himself, he's not going to sugarcoat this. Many of you may disagree, but this author believes this to be a false teaching intended to trick believers into accepting the false prophet or antichrist figure, who will be showing up first heading into the tribulation period with many signs and lying wonders while claiming to be God. People who lack knowledge during this period will be ultimately deceived by this counterfeit child of Satan. Hosea 4:6 says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being my priest. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children." So if you currently hold the viewpoint of a, quote, pre-tribulation rapture, and you believe you will be saved from this end time period of chaos, you need to ask yourself why you believe this and relook at the passages that you believe actually uphold this position. Don't just believe it because it's a church doctrine to which you adhere. Test it and see where you come out after proving to yourself what is true and what isn't. As you read through these end-age events in the scriptures, it's important to understand their context as a believer and not be deceived by something that is false. Most scripture points to what could be a mid or post-tribulation event called the first resurrection of the dead, when Yeshua's followers are called in spirit from the grave. This event takes place upon his return at what appears to be the end of the tribulation period, or at some time before the end of it. This final chapter will be a little different in regard to less context from me or from the author. He's going to lay out these events in an order that he feels should allow for a better understanding for the reader. We'll be mostly reading the scriptural text describing these events and their order, followed by end times cosmological events that will coincide with the categories that we outlined throughout this book. The author will inject some commentary as it is needed, and we will reveal the most likely candidate for the Antichrist as well. Pray that the Holy Spirit speaks to you for understanding of these events, and I believe your confusion on this matter will dissipate significantly. Revelation 1 and 3, blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this prophecy and heed the things which are written in it, for the time is near. What will be the signs leading into this end time period? 2 Timothy 3:1 says, but realize this, that in the last days difficult times will come. For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of the Most High, holding to a form of godliness or religions, although they have denied its power. Avoid such men as these, for among them are those who enter into households and captivate weak women weighted down with sins, led on by various impulses, always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth, men of depraved mind, rejected in regard to the faith. But they will not make further progress, for their folly will be obvious to all, just as Jannes's and Jambres's folly was also. Moving to 1 Timothy 4 and 1, but the Spirit explicitly says that in later times some will fall away from the faith, paying attention to deceitful spirits and doctrines of demons, by means of the hypocrisy of liars, seared into their own conscience, as with a branding iron, men who forbid marriage and advocate abstaining from foods which God has created to be gratefully shared in by those who believe and know the truth. For everything created by God, the Most High, is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with gratitude, for it is sanctified by means of the word of God and by prayer. 2 Timothy 3:12, indeed, all who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will be persecuted, but evil men and impostors will proceed from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. 2 Timothy 4 and 1, I solemnly charge you in the presence of God and of Christ, who is to judge the living and the dead, and by his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word, be ready in the season and out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instruction. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires, and will turn away their ears from the truth, and will turn aside to myths. But you, be sober in all things, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, fulfill your ministry. For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith. In the future there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Isaiah 5:20, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes in drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who justify the wicked for a bribe and take away the rights of the ones who are in the right. Luke 21:10, then he continued by saying to them, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes and in various places plagues and famines, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. There will be signs in sun and moon and stars. This is Luke 21:25. There will be signs in sun and moon and stars. And on the earth dismay among nations and perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves, men fainting from fear and the expectation of the things which are coming upon the world or the inhabited earth. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. But when these things begin to take place, straighten up and lift your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Let me see some thumbs up in the chat, you guys, if you can hear me good. Appreciate it. Luke 21:34, be on guard so that your hearts will not be weighted down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of life. And that day will not come on you suddenly like a trap. For it will come upon all those who dwell in the face of all the earth. But keep on the alert at all times, praying that you may have strength to escape all these things that are about to take place and to stand before the Son of Man. Joel 2:28, it will come about after this that I will pour out my spirit on all mankind, and your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions. Even on the male and female servants, I will pour out my spirit in those days. And then over to Luke 21:20. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then recognize that her desolation is near. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those who are in the midst of the city must leave, and those who are in the country must not enter the city, because these are the days of vengeance, so that all things which are written will be fulfilled. Woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress upon the land and wrath to his people, and they will fall by the edge of the sword and will be led captive into all the nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Joel 2:30, I will display wonders in the sky and on the earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And it will come about that whoever calls on the name of the Lord, Yeshua, will be delivered. Revelation 3:3. So remember that you have received, remember what you have received and heard, and keep it and repent. Therefore, if you don't wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come to you. Okay, so can you see by reading these details that we're getting very close? Most of these indications would just about mirror average stories in a week's worth of the evening news. Now that we have the prophetical signs leading into the end days, let's continue by looking into the order of these events in Matthew 24, when Yeshua responds to his disciples' questions regarding the timeline of his second coming. And this is all coming from Matthew 24, starting with Matthew 24:3. Okay. As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Yeshua answered and said to them, "See to it that no one misleads you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I'm the Christ,' and will mislead many. You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not frightened, for those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. And that at that time many will fall away and will betray one another and hate one another. Many false prophets will arise and will mislead many. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand, then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get things out that are in his house. Whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in these days. But pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on a Sabbath, for then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then, if anyone says to you, 'Behold, here is the Christ,' or 'There he is,' don't believe him. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders, so as to mislead, if possible, even the very elect. Behold, I have told you in advance. So if they say to you, 'Behold, he's in the wilderness,' don't go out. Or, 'Behold, he's in the inner rooms,' don't believe them. For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send forth his angels with a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and they didn't understand until the flood came and took them all away. So too will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then there will be two men in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding at the mill, and one will be taken and one will be left. Matthew 24:3 through 41. This is the whole context of the order of the end age events that will be taking place in the future. This author believes this is pretty clear, and this is reiterated in other portions of the Gospels, including Mark 13. You may have noticed while reading Matthew 24, Yeshua references the abomination of desolation as spoken through the prophet Daniel. Let's build upon this and see what he was referring to by this in Daniel 12. Daniel 12, 1 through 12. Now, at that time, Michael, the great prince who stands guard over the sons of your people, will arise. And there will be a time of distress, such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. And at that time, your people, everyone who is found written in the book, will be rescued. Most of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will be awake, these to everlasting life, but the others to disgrace and everlasting contempt. Those who have insight will shine brightly like the brightness of the expanse of the firmament of heaven, and those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words and seal up the book until the end of time. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, two others were standing, one on this bank of the river, and the other on that bank of the river. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, quote, how long will it be until the end of these wonders? And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, as he raised his right hand and his left towards heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for a time, times, and half a time, and as soon as they finish shattering the power of the holy people, all these events will be completed. As for me, I heard but could not understand. So I said, my Lord, what will be the outcome of these events? And he said, go your way, Daniel, for these words are concealed and sealed up until the end of time. Many will be purged, purified, and refined, but the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand. But those who have insight will understand. From the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. How blessed is he who keeps waiting and attains to the 1,335 days. But as for you, go your way to the end. Then you will enter into rest and rise again for your allotted portion at the end of the age. From Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Daniel 12, we can glean from them combined that either the starting point or the midpoint for the Great Tribulation will be at the moment that the Antichrist is revealed in the third temple in Jerusalem by abolishing the regular sacrifice. At that point, there will be 3.5 years remaining of difficult times and great turmoil never before seen. Now that we've established this, let's review the texts that correspond to the Antichrist. The Antichrist, Daniel 8 and 9 through 11. Out of one of them came forth a rather small horn, which grew exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, and towards the beautiful land. It grew up to the host of heaven and caused some of the host and some of the stars to fall to the earth, and it trampled them down. It even magnified itself to be equal with the commander of the host, and it removed the regular sacrifice from him, and the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. Daniel 8 and 9 through 11. Thessalonians 2 and 1. Now we request you, brothers, with regard to the coming of our Lord, Yeshua, and our gathering to him, that you not be quickly shaken from your composure or be disturbed, either by a spirit or a message or a letter as if from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord has come. Let no one in any way deceive you, for it will not come to pass unless the apostasy comes first, And the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called small g god or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, displaying himself as being God. Do you not remember that while I was still with you, I was telling you these things? And you know what restrains him now, so that in his time he will be revealed. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. Then that lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will slay with the breath of his mouth and bring to an end by the appearance of his coming. That is, the one whose coming is in accord with the activity of Satan, with all power and signs and false wonders, and with all the deception of wickedness for those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth so as to be saved. For this reason, the Most High will send upon them a deluding influence, so that they will believe what is false, in order that they all may be judged who did not believe the truth, but took pleasure in wickedness instead. 1 John 2:18, children, it is the last hour, and just as you heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many antichrists have already appeared. From this we know that it is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not really of us. For if they had been of us, they would have remained with us. But they went out, so that it would be shown that they all are not of us. But you have an anointing from the Holy One, and you all know. I have not written to you because you do not know the truth, but because you do, and because no lie is of the truth. Who is the liar but the one who denies that Yeshua is the Christ? This is the Antichrist, the one who denies the Father and the Son. Whoever denies the Son doesn't have the Father. The one who confesses to the Son has the Father also. As for you, let that abide in you which you heard from the beginning. If what you heard from the beginning abides in you, you also will abide in the Son and in the Father. Revelation 13:3, I saw one of his heads as if it had been slain, and his fatal wound was healed. And the whole earth was amazed and followed after the beast. They worshiped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who is able to wage war with him? There was given to him a mouth speaking arrogant words and blasphemies, and authority to act for 42 months was given to him. And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Revelation 13:11, then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and he makes the earth and all those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down of heaven to the earth in the presence of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth because of the signs which it is given to him to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who had the wound of the sword and has come to life. And it was given to him to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast would even speak and cause as many as do not worship the image of the beast to be killed. And he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free men and the slaves, to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and he provides that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for the number is that of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation 14:9-2, Then another angel, a third one, followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and his image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger. And he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever, and they have no rest day or night, those who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. Here is the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Yeshua. And I saw something like a sea of glass mixed with fire, and those who had been victorious over the beast and his image and the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, holding harps of God. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet 3 unclean spirits like frogs, for they are spirits of demons, performing signs which go out to the kings of the whole world to gather them together for the war of the great day of God the Almighty. Behold, I'm coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake and keeps his clothes, so that he will not walk about naked, and men will not see his shame. And they gathered them together to the place which is in Hebrew called Harmageddon or Armageddon. Revelation 17:8, the beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to come up out of the abyss and go to destruction. And those who dwell on the earth, whose name has not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, will wonder when they see the beast that he was and is not, and yet will come. Right. So, when this verse mentions the beast that was and is not and is about to come out of the abyss, it is referring to someone that previously lived but died and will live again. This actually makes a lot of sense by thinking that everything Satan does is a counterfeit of Yah. Therefore, Satan will reincarnate a son of his own to prop up the false Christ, but in the form of a reincarnated small g God of old. Think of it like this. There is the Holy Trinity consisting of Yah, Yeshua, and the Holy Ghost, who are the, quote, Godhead of Christianity. But Satan will counterfeit his own, quote, Trinity by being the God representative, along with the beast as his false Christ son, and the false witness as his Holy Spirit. Regarding the Antichrist, however, there are some seemingly viable options to consider. Could CERN bring forth this beast from the bottomless pit by bringing him into our dimension, allowing him to live again? I don't think so, maybe. Could he somehow be reincarnated through a DNA manipulation coupled with some ritual that would bring forth this beast spirit in another way? Maybe. Or could he literally be released from the abyss by an angel with a key? What about artificial intelligence, right? I think any of these would be possible and still hold as accurate. Remember the story of Nimrod and how he became a mighty man? Of every scenario this author has heard regarding theories about the Antichrist, the strongest theory is the reincarnation of Nimrod, the man of many names, including Mars, Osiris, and Apollo. Nimrod wanted to kill Yah by building the Tower of Babel into the third heaven. He is the rebellious one, the mighty hunter of souls in direct opposition of Yah. Remember, during the root of our traditions, almost every holiday linked back to one of the many names of Nimrod or his wife. He will most likely not be called Nimrod, because this will be a deception of all deceptions when many religions will accept him as their true small g God. But this author wouldn't rule out the other names he's known as, like Osiris or even Apollo, because there could likely be a name recognition aspect to link him back to a known ancient deity of some kind. Many main religions, including those that claim to be Christian, will stand in support of this being. He will deceive many by the power that he will demonstrate, as well as his potential so-called peacekeeping properties. He will receive a head wound by the sword, or a gunshot wound, or maybe something else that will appear to kill him, but he will rise again to further demonstrate his power, blaspheming Yeshua and claiming that he is the Messiah. This author has often wondered if he ends up with one eye, which again would tie back to the Eye of Horus, or the eye on the top of the pyramid representing his all-seeing one eye. He will represent a new system that will be very tempting by promising things in return that will be hard for many to reject. A longer life or immortality may become one of the upgrades offered in return for worship and taking this mark. But this will not be actual immortality, but a trick to any and all who accept it. What if this new system allows for the relief of people's debts and outstanding loans upon acceptance? We already know that under this system, you cannot buy or sell within the system unless you receive the mark, but anyone who receives this mark or worships the beast will not be allowed to be saved. Those who take this mark will forego their salvation. This false Christ will be in control of the earth and have everyone tracked in every way imaginable through location, routines, interests, hobbies, medical records, internet use, and purchasing habits. Nothing will be spared from his control. This is what the eye on the top of the pyramid represents: the completion of building the final system that will control everyone while enabling him to oversee everything as Yah does, or as close as he can come to Yah. This system is the one that everyone unknowingly yet willingly will accept. They will allow all their rights to be slowly taken away from them and be fully controlled through this mandated beast system. But even though this will be the most trying and horrible time to be alive, we're told not to be afraid. And I would just interject really quickly, doesn't it seem like we're already well into living into this beast system with our social security numbers? Just saying. Let's continue with end time events as they coincide with the chapters previously discussed in this book. This is where cosmology meets eschatology. So first, foundations. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. Matthew 24. Mark 13, for nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will also be famines. These things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Revelation 11:13, and in that hour there was a great earthquake, and a tenth of the city fell. 7,000 people were killed in the earthquake, and the rest were terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. The elder, yes, you did. Revelation 16, and there were flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder, and there was a great earthquake, such as there had not been since man came to be upon the earth. So great an earthquake was it, and so mighty. The firmament, Isaiah 34:4, and all the host of heaven will wear away, and the sky will be rolled up like a scroll. All their hosts will also wither away as a leaf withers from the vine, or as one withers from the fig tree. I looked up when he broke the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth made of hair, and the whole moon became like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth as a fig tree casts its unripe figs when shaken by a great wind. The sky was split apart like a scroll when it's rolled up, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Revelation 6. Okay, so notice how these two descriptions of the sky splitting apart and rolling open like a scroll can only apply to the firmament. Imagine the day that the firmament splits open and rolls up like a scroll. This cannot happen under globe cosmology, of course. The stars falling to the earth most certainly can't happen under the globe model. Science alleges that our stars are bigger than the sun, which is so much bigger than the earth. If just one star fell to the earth, it would decimate the entire earth under the globe model. But all the stars falling to the earth works perfectly under the biblical cosmology model. The three tiers, Revelation 5:1. I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a book written inside and on the back, sealed up with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and break its seals?" And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the book or look into it. Revelation 5:13, and every created thing which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth and on the sea and all things in them, I heard saying, to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be blessing and honor and glory and dominion forever and ever. Revelation 9:1, then the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven which had fallen to the earth, and the key of the bottomless pit was given to him. He opened the bottomless pit, and smoke went up out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and a power was given to them as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were told not to hurt the grass of the earth, nor any green thing, nor any tree, but only the men who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Revelation 9:10, they have tails like scorpions and stings, and in their tails is their power to hurt men for 5 months. They have as king over them the angel of the abyss. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek his name is Apollyon. Revelation 11:7, when they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up out of the abyss will make war with them and overcome them and kill them. Revelation 11:11, but after 3.5 days, the breath of life from God came into them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell upon those who saw this. And they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." Then they went up to heaven in the cloud, and their enemies watched them. Revelation 12:7, and there was a war in heaven, Michael and his angels waging war with the dragon. The dragon and his angels waged war, and they were not strong enough, and there was no longer a place found for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, "Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, he who accuses them before our God day and night." Revelation, for this reason, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he only has a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was thrown down to the earth, he persecuted the women who gave birth to the male child. Revelation 14:6, and I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven, having an eternal gospel to preach to those who live on the earth, and to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and springs of waters." And we've got Revelation 8 and 5. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with the fire of the altar and threw it to the earth. And there followed peals of thunder and sounds and flashes of lightning and an earthquake. Revelation 8 and 5. Then the angel took the censer and filled it. Oh, wait, I just read that. Okay, so Revelation 16 and 1. Then I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the 7 angels, "Go and pour out on the earth the 7 bowls of the wrath of God." Revelation 20, 1 through 3. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding the key of the abyss and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the abyss and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he would not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were completed. And after these things, he must be released for a short time. Okay, so, yeah, where we at here? Okay, I'm gonna have to leave this here for right now, you guys, because little Lily over here is whining to go out. I didn't take her out this morning, and she's up early, so she's got to go. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Also, I'm gonna put it out here, you guys. I'm in this hotel, and I was supposed to pay my rent here yesterday, but the guy, the owner, gave me time. He gave me till today at 11 to come up with the money. The direct deposit transfer that I was expecting still hasn't hit. I did get $100 thanks to Lance. I appreciate you, Lance. So now I just need $400 more. Yeah, go ahead with your question, brother. But so basically, in the next couple hours, if I don't come up with this money, I gotta pack up my car, put all my stuff in it that will fit, which isn't everything. I'm gonna have to leave some stuff along with the dog, Mina, and all her oxygen tanks. And we don't have anywhere to go either. So I just don't know what we're gonna do. If you want to help, PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and Venmo, the links I'll put in the description. The keyword on all those is the Morgile. So every little bit helps. If you want to help me try to keep this hotel, it would be greatly appreciated. And the question from the elder is, what is my name derived from, its meaning, and how did I choose it? I get this a lot. So it was my gamer tag for Battlefield 2142, which was a online first-person shooter team-based video game that came out way back in the early 2000s. The sort of premise of the game is you've got the EU, or in the year 2142, you got the EU, which is the European Union, and then the Russians. So it's a war game with Brits versus Russians, and you have to come up with a name. And so I just made it up, Morgile. It's a name that kind of works either in like a Russian sort of dialect or in an English sounding dialect. And it's just a made up name. It doesn't mean anything. I guess the root of it would be like morgue, like as in death. I don't know. It was a video game tag, and it kind of stuck. When I set up my YouTube channel, I didn't want to put my name on there because I have a pretty unique name, and I didn't necessarily want, my name out there in internet world. So I used, Morgile was taken, so I couldn't use Morgile. So I used the Morgile. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I like the name too. It's got a nice ring to it. I'm going to probably try to pick this up again. Something from Old Cultures, yeah. Donald Plastic, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was the best game. Yeah, I mean, I played the Bad Companies too. I didn't get into 1942, which was the first. The first Battlefield was the 1942 one. I don't think I ever even played that, except for they sort of re-released it on Xbox, and I dabbled in it. But the 2142, I really like that one. They've got 2042 now, which it damn sure ain't 2142. There were some differences, namely the mech walkers in 2142, and you also had a commander on either team, which made it kind of interesting. But anyway, yeah, so just again, I'm gonna try to get back to this. I gotta go walk Lily. She's over here whining. Here, let me bring up Lily. Come here, you. No, don't run away. She's so funny. Come here.
Boo-boo bear.
She can't get any traction on this floor, so like when she tries to run away, she just like say hi, Bubba's. When she tries to run away, she just like she can't get no traction, so she just falls over. I got a little rug sitting over here, so she can try to get some traction, but she's just a goofball. Yeah, Origin. I remember something about that on PC. Yeah, on Xbox you don't have to worry with Origin or whatever, but okay. So that's that, you guys. If you do want to help, again, I got 2.5 hours here to come up with $400. I mean, I can try to hand him the $100 cash that I've got. I did win and pull it out because they want cash. They give me a little bit of a discount if I pay them in cash.
Free last night.
But I got to come up with something today, or they're gonna boot us out. And there's nothing I can do but pack up my shit that'll fit in the car, and Lily here and Mina, and she's got all those oxygen tanks. So I'm not gonna be able to fit much. I'll just have to leave everything if I'm not able to do this. So we damn sure could use your help. A few of you guys have helped us keep this place so far, and I really appreciate it. It's just so expensive. You know, like I said, we just didn't have time to make a responsible move. We had 5 days. We were given 5 days, and all the little bit of money that we had as of the first of the month went straight to this hotel. And yeah, obviously we can't afford it, but also I mean, it's so hot out here these days. I can't, I mean, I guess we will if we have to. I just hate to go live in my car when it's so damn hot with this. You see how furry this one is. She can't stand it. She can't stand the heat. And on top of that, the tags are expired on the car, and my license are suspended right now. So like, if I'm living in the car and I get pulled over, then basically I'm going straight to jail, no questions asked, don't collect the $200 and everything. And then Mina and Lily are gonna be on the side of the road because they will probably tow the car because she doesn't have a license either. So yeah, we're pretty well fucked, man. Excuse the language, but that's where we're at. So if you do want to help, God bless you. We appreciate it. If you want to call me, 864-315-7892. If I don't have your number, text me first because I get a lot of telemarketing calls all day long, and I just don't usually answer numbers I don't recognize. But reach out if you want. Yeah, Donald, it's a messed up situation. I know. I hate it. My nerves are shot, honestly. Like, part of me just wants to park the car on a hill and lay my head underneath it and just pop the brake and be done with it. Honestly, I'm like, we're going to go, baby. We're going to go. All right, y'all. One love. I will let y'all know if I'm able to pull something together and somehow keep the place here for another week. I only am trying to get to the first week in September because I am moving to Los Angeles for an opportunity that I can't pass up, and there'll be more on that later. I don't like counting my chickens before they hatch, so I will update you guys more as that develops. So all right, y'all, one love. Talk to you soon, and I'll put out a little something or finish this chapter if I'm able to make a payment on the hotel and keep this place for another week. All right, guys, take care.